Hey YouTube, today I'm going to talk about the new rotary I picked up for my 80-watt laser. This one comes from Mansfield Customs. Before we get too far into this, I purchased this. This is my money. It's not a paid promotion endorsement of any sort. So this is strictly my thoughts and opinions on this rotary device. I'm going to break this video into two pieces. The first one I'm going to talk specifically about the rotary, some of the features on it, some of the things I found that I'll call them pros and cons for right now. But this will be exclusively on the rotary. The second video I'll do would be actually how to get it up and running and set up on your laser. So anyways, let me redo the camera, we'll get zoomed in and we'll talk about this thing a little bit. Okay, so closer look. Some of the features or things this thing comes with. The larger pieces are 3D printed. They're very well printed. They're nice and solid. It's got 4 mounting locations to mount it to a board. As you can see, I've already mounted it to a board. It's got a 10 by 10 rail here and a 10 by 10 here for adjustment. Gives you a lot of length and height adjustment. Nice thing about this is that you've got the big old open area here, so if you've got a mug with a handle on it, it can rotate down around. You can get full 360 degrees with that. That was a big selling point for this particular one for me. Not all of them. You know, you could get a handle. Fine, you could print on the left or right side with the handle out here, but if you wanted to print straight opposite of the handle, that handle would hit your base. This has enough height that all the mugs I've got that I've tried on it, they clear out just fine. Like I mentioned, it comes with the plug already wired into it, which is really nice. Very nice wrapped cord. It's got heat shrink on it. I wish the cord was a little longer. The location of the plug on mine is not where most of them are. It's kind of up and tucked out of the way, so it limits me to where I can put this on the bed. I have to put it on the far right hand side towards the front. They make an extension cable for this, which I have ordered, which will free me to put it anywhere on the bed I want. But it would have been nice if this was a little longer, but it's not a negative. It's just would have liked to have seen. So it's a nice thing about that. It's got very nice double rollers on it. Just everything on it is well built. Looks like it's thought out very well. A couple of things before I get into the negative. A couple of things you'll need to be aware of. Chinese lasers are inexpensive for a reason. They are built in a lot of different factories. There's very little standard on them. One guy can use a blue wire, next guy a green wire, the next one an orange wire. You don't know. Also, the way they wire plugs is not always consistent. Over at Mansfield, they've done their best, and through all the ones they put out, they wire these plugs to fit most of the units out there. Mine was not one of the most, so I had to rewire these. So just be ready. You might have to rewire this connector. It's not a fault of Mansfield. It's just the difference between a $2,500 laser and a $10,000 laser. What I had to do was figure out which are the A and B channels, how they were wired in my plug on the laser, and then I had to make this one match. So basically I had to swap A and B channels by taking this apart, unsoldering, and then soldering the new ones back in. It's not very difficult. You know, if you know how to solder and trace a wire, you can figure it out. Everything is pretty well labeled on the controllers, so figuring that out was not difficult at all. So that was one of the, well, not really a negative, but one of the things we need to be aware of. The stepper motor, mine got really hot. From what I understand, a lot of people have that problem. I have the micro step driver in my laser is a DM545A, which is pretty standard on all of them. Switch number 4 changes the current that feeds to these to the steppers from full current to half current. That's not when it's running, that's when it's in idle mode. These things have power to them even in idle mode, when they're just sitting there. So by turning that switch off, reduces the current load on it, so it's not going to get hot. That will not affect the other steppers in your laser if it's on and you change it to off. Matter of fact, I changed both my X and Y axis to off and been cutting just fine, not having any issues anywhere else in the laser. So if this is getting too hot, check that switch on your controller. Like I say, if you've got that DM545A, it's switch number 4. Just turn that off. You're all set with that. What else? I don't really like the adjustments on this. You have to use, which is not provided, a 3mm Allen to adjust your length. You have to here, take that one loose, then you can slide it back and forth, get the length you want, and then lock it back down. There's some slop in here, so this kind of wiggles back and forth in the lower channel. So when you put it back together, just make sure that you're lined up smooth on one side or the other. Once you've got that smooth, then just lock it back down. Okay, not a game killer, is just a little inconvenient. Same way with adjusting the height. Again, you have to use the Allen wrench and slide it up and down. You can't do it with the glass on there. You have to take the glass off, get your height, lock it down, then set your glass back on to see if you're level. Like I say, a little bit of a pain, but nothing real major. I mean, they got to have some sort of adjustment somehow. So let's see. We talked about the. Last thing is the steps per revolution. Now they've got it marked on here. Drive wheels are 42mm, which you'll need for your software, and 4,100 steps a revolution, which you'll need that. Again, Chinese lasers built in a bunch of different factories have different settings in their microstep driver control board. That 4100 may or may not work for yours. When I set mine for 4100 steps a revolution, I'd go to cut a square or engrave a square, it'd be a rectangle. And it was, I did a 10 by 10, it's 10mm wide, which came out okay, so we're not changing that, but lengthwise, it was 20mm. Okay, so it was twice as long. So what I ended up doing was taking the 4100, dividing in half, which is 2050, put that in, and now I've got exactly. Reason being is my step driver is, the control board is set for 2,000 steps per revolution. So when you're trying to feed it when you feed it 4,000 steps, all of a sudden the controller is sending out 4,000 and it's saying, oh, okay, well that's twice as far. So you may have to compensate based on the way yours is set up. So a quick and easy way is do a 10 by 10. If it comes out twice as long, cut this in half. If it comes out 3 times as long, you want a third of this number. And I'm pointing at the 4,100 steps. I'm not sure you can see it, but I'm pointing at that 4,100, sorry. So that may be another thing. Again, difference between $2,500 laser and a $10,000 laser, where they've figured all that stuff out, and $7,000, so they did a little bit of math for you. Other than that, this is a really nice little unit. I'll do a separate video on with it installed and using it, how to set it up in the software. But overall, my view on this is just fantastic. Again, I bought this unit off an eBay auction. I'll leave a link for that down below, along with a link to their website. I paid $255 for it. That included shipping, I believe. So the couple of things I'd like to see improved are this Allen change. It's a little bit of a a pain having to use this Allen wrench, and I do wish this cord was a little longer, just because of where mine has to plug in. It limits where I could put it on the bed. They make an extension cord for this, so I've already ordered that. So that takes care of that issue. I mean, I could use it with this just fine. I just want a little bit more flexibility. So overall, I'm out of a, you know, a 1 to 10, I'd give this, I would probably give it, just because, and it's only because of this right here and wishing the cable was a little longer, I'd give it a 9. I'm not going to mark it down at all for the fact I had to rewire it, or the steps are off, or the motor got hot, because that's all part of the laser itself. Nothing to do with this. It's a well-built, very nice little rotary. I know it's going to run me and use me for years. Matter of fact, I've already had people starting to put orders in once they saw a couple of test designs I did. So anyways, I hope this helps you all. If you got any questions or comments, you know, leave them down below. Be sure and watch the second part. I'll get that out in a day or two following this one, where I'm actually showing how this is set up in the laser, how it connects to the software, and any settings you might need to change. So hey, hope this helps you all out. You have a great day.